HBs, welcome back to Heaving Bosoms, the podcast where two romance-loving best friends recap romance novels while giggling, cursing, and being the most. This week, we're going to start off with a Patreon shout-out, because we cannot show our patrons enough appreciation. So, Emmi S, you are the love child of Themis and Eos. Themis was a Greek Titaness in charge of order and fairness. You get the solid head on your shoulders from her. She also built the Oracle of Delphi and was herself oracular. So that might explain how you broke the mold on those tattoos from your youth. You've always just known. Meanwhile, Eos is the goddess of dawn and new beginnings. She is where you get the bravery to start fresh and realize your dreams no matter where you are in life. So you keep lacing up, working hard, and meeting your heroes, Emmi. You're a goddamned inspiration. We've now got over 50 bonus episodes waiting for you on Patreon, plus extra goodies like the shout out you just heard. So come support us at patreon.com/Heaving Bosoms podcast. And now, we've got part 1 of The Mark of the Midnight Manzanilla by Lauren Willig. This episode is going to be a little shorter because we ran into some recording issues, but you're not missing out on anything. You're going to get everything else in part 2, so make sure to check out next week as well. It's going to be a spooky good time, and happy Halloween, y'all. Hi, Erin.
Hello, Melody. That was my spooky. That was my spooky hello. Melody, melody, melody.
HBs, it's spooky up in here.
Spooky episode.
Yes. Happy Halloween, Erin.
Or as our Twitter is. Heaving bosoms.
Oh, yeah. I know you cleared that with me, but then when it actually happened, I was like, oh, man.
You hated it?
No. I didn't hate it. I was just like, oh, I forgot this was going to happen.
By clearing with you, what I did was I sent you a text that said, hey, Mel, do you care if we change our Twitter name to Heaving Bosoms for Halloween? We've never changed our Twitter name before.
We've never done it. Yeah.
And you said nothing. And so I did
really
it.
Say
yeah,
nothing?
You never replied. And so I was like,
I did my brain.
It was over a week. And so I was like, fuck it. She didn't say no. And
true.
I'm the social media person.
That's
so
right. That's your wheelhouse, my friend. And now we're heaving bosoms. Oh, man. I'm really excited for Halloween. Do you want to know what we're doing? Do you want to know?
I do.
Okay. We are the Spider-Verse family.
You already did that for whatchamacallit.
Yeah, you think I'm sorry. You think I'm getting 2 sets of coordinated costumes together?
I don't
know.
One
for Comic-Con and one for Halloween?
I
don't
that
know. Noise.
Okay, all right.
What do you think I am,
sorry.
a Pinterest mom? Please. Ain't nobody got time for that nonsense.
Sorry.
Not that there's anything wrong with Pinterest moms. Frankly, I only send a little bit of shade because I'm so fucking jealous of your skills.
There's something super... Listen, we've already come out hard against mommy bloggers on this podcast. You don't get to walk it back now. She's holding her boobs so tight, you guys. She's so nervous.
Yeah, so... Yeah, we're doing the Spider-Verse again. And I still... Well, also, I sewed felt onto our double stroller. I need that. I need to get some bang out of my buck for that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's what we're doing. Everybody. Yep. I spray painted some flats, bitches. Okay.
Are you going door to door or what are you doing?
I still haven't decided. In our town, there's always a Halloween like festival parade situation.
Yeah.
And there's like a costume contest and it's a set amount of blocks and all the stores on those blocks give out candy. Mm-hmm. So we're definitely going to do that. We might also do some door-to-door trick-or-treating, but it's so hit and miss. It's tough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's so cold here. You almost have to either be by a fire or, I don't know. I guess if you have a kid, you can go outside. But like, I don't have that kind of responsibility, so I don't have to if I don't want to. But you know what I am doing? Well, last night, so...
Yeah, tell me everything.
So
I saw it on your...
Yeah, so we put a deck on the back of the house.
Yeah.
And then a child said to us, why don't you hang a sheet from the deck and show a movie outside? Ooh. And we were like, you know how kids just have ideas and you're like, no, that's outlandish. But then we did it. We bought a screen, we mounted it on the deck, and we had an outside movie party. It was 30 degrees, very cold.
Oh, wow.
But if you were by the fire, it was okay. But the problem is, it would be really nice to do in the summer, but it's not dark here in the summer. You can't do it in the light. And
hashtag Alaska problems, my friend.
We're not having a 1 a.m. movie outside. It's pretty noisy for the neighbors, you know. It's a lot. But yeah, we did that. That seemed very fall.
You can start the movie at like 3 p.m. at that point.
Yeah, well, it's not
this
quite.
Month.
Yeah, it's not that time of the year quite yet. But and then when it gets to be that time of the year, it's going to be way colder. So I don't know how often we're going to use this. But then next weekend, I'm having David's out of town, and I'm having a fall party. It's called Erin's Basic Ladies Fall Pumpkin Slut Party, and I'm having over all my friends, and we're doing all of the most basic fall things like bonfires, s'mores, scarves, boots. I'm going to show practical magic, maybe on the big screen, maybe on the inside screen. I don't know. I have to consult with the ladies because it's going to be very cold. I forget all the other stuff we're doing.
I think that you should go inside and have your pumpkin spice deliciousness, and like, you know, somebody can be crocheting or something.
Right,
and really, really follow it up inside. I think that
knitting was part of the party description for sure.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah. That's my big Halloween thing. Oh, and next weekend I'm going to go to Rocky Horror and...
Oh, man.
What else?
You are just living it up, aren't you?
David?
I can't see him.
He just opened the door. And peeked his head in and then left, and he was eating a tomato like an apple. What? Also, remember David's Salsa Company?
I do.
Remember how he came in and
David's Fresh
Salsa Company? Yeah. So last night we made barbacoa tacos for everybody, which was a very great experiment. Turned out very well. So anyway, we're one step closer to David's Fresh Salsa food truck.
Remember when you ate it and it was still warm?
Cooked.
Yes.
Fresh cooked.
Fresh cooked salsa.
Yep. All right. But we have a very spooky book for you today.
Yeah.
We got a lot of melody. Cheer up. Okay? I see you.
I really like this book.
Did you?
Yes. I am bitter about the book because it was so good, but it still didn't give me everything I wanted. And so that makes me bitter. I'm sorry. I'm not going to not be bitter. I'm sorry. I'm not
everything is about sex, Melody.
I don't give a shit.
So we had several 5-star reviewers, I think 3 in total, that wanted us to read the Pink Carnation series by Lauren Willig. And they were early on. This is how far the fuck we are behind with 5-star reviews. This was near the time where, like, I was reading my very first historicals, like The Duke and I and The Duchess War. And a bunch of people chimed in and said, hey, Erin, you might like this series because it's got 1 foot in history and 1 foot in present day times.
Yep.
So there's 2 storylines going on at one time. And then I was looking through our recommendations to see if there was a good Halloween book in there so that we could knock out a 5-star review and do a Halloween book. And I didn't really find anything. And then I was looking for Halloween books on Goodreads, and this book was in there. And I was like, oh, that's one of those books that is in that series. Little did I know at the time when I told you to start reading it that it was book 11 in a 12-book series. Whoops. So I went back and herbsed the first one just so we would have like some level of understanding of what was going on.
Yeah.
It didn't totally make me understand everything that was going on. But I think they can all be read alone. Like I saw a lot of stuff that was like, these are all standalones if you want them to be. So I was pretty confident we could do it. And so we did.
Yeah.
And so this is The Mark of the Midnight Manzanilla. Which is a weird kind of apple.
It's a
kills
poisonous plant.
Poison apple.
Murderous one of those.
But Melody texted me pretty angry that there is wow, no sex in the book, and she's
no fucking sex.
She's pissed.
I'm mad.
She's mad. But it is a sexy book.
Oh, that's one of the reasons I'm so mad.
It's
because the romance is like 9.5 out of 10, people. The romance is really good. I want to see these people bang. I want to see it. Give me it. That's all.
So I put out a call on the cult for if anyone knew of any fan fiction or was willing to write any fan fiction that would satisfy Melody's urges on this book.
And that call went unanswered.
Did it?
Did it?
Did it go unanswered?
Did it? It didn't?
We did get one taker, Kimberly L, and I warned her that this would be read on the podcast, and she was
Kimberly L.
Bring it on.
I love Kimberly L.
So in response to my call to write fan fiction about Sally and Lucian.
Should we do this at the appropriate time, or should we do it at the top?
I want to do it right now, because it has nothing to do with the book. I don't think that Kimberly L has read this book.
I love her so much.
All right, are you ready?
Yes.
Oh, Sally, touch my tra-la-la under this sexy gazebo, said Lucian, running his hand through her hair. See, Kimberly doesn't even know what color of hair
tra-la-la.
Sally has.
Tra-la-la.
Heavens me, Lucian, your member is so large. Sally grasped that big dick with both hands and rubbed sensually.
Ooh.
Because how would you rub a dick under a gazebo? Or how else would you rub a dick under a gazebo? That's an aside to the audience. Of course it is, baby. This is a romance novel. We all big dick in it, he replied with a smirk. With a hair flip, Sally lowered her lips onto him, her eyes full of challenge. Well, these bosoms aren't going to heave themselves.
Yeah, Lucian.
And then they fucked on a window. Close. And actually what Kimberly really says is, I'll see myself out. Which, thanks, Kim. She later divulged that she had been wine drunk during the time that she wrote that to us.
I love her so much. Just
incredible.
A constant ray of sunshine.
So does that satisfy what you needed between Sally and Lucian?
You know what? It basically does. Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you for answering the call. Thank you for showing up.
Do gazebos have windows?
Yeah, sure. Closed gazebos do. Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll give it to him. Yeah.
I had my first kiss in a gazebo. Did you know?
I didn't know that. Wait,
yeah, I did.
Wait, you did tell me that. Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah.
The gazebo in Sound of Music is closed and has windows. So there you go.
My gazebo was an open air gazebo.
Yeah.
All right.
Waiting for all the voyeurs.
If anyone else would like to write more fanfics about Sally and Lucian, we are happy to do an entire Patreon reading them.
Yes.
So here's the call. All right.
Yeah. All right. So listen, I like this book a lot. God damn it. Okay. And so I loved it. Gonna get into the mix of loving it. I'm just still pretty bitter. Okay. We've got Sally and Lucian, as you found out.
But before we've got Sally and Lucian, we've got what's her face?
What's her face and what's his name? Listen, you guys. All right. So here's the thing.
Colin is his name.
Sure. He's got like elbow patches on his arms and stuff. All right. Just that's the picture.
Elbows.
So in this book, there is technically like a contemporary times and an England times. But the contemporary times, I think, goes through the entire series. That was my read on it. So we're walking in with them in the long distance portion of their relationship.
Right.
After they've already done the wooing and the living together and whatever. And so now
it's lame
he's
as hell.
Come for a visit. It's basically all about her failing academic career.
Right.
And angst about having your significant other come visit.
Right. Eloise? Is that right? Eloise?
I literally don't care.
It's first person, so it's hard to remember.
Maybe a smooch.
Yeah.
Maybe a smooch. But like when he shows up, they don't immediately go up to her house and like bang it out. He's like, I could fall over because I'm so tired. And she's like, how about we get some alcohol in you down at the pub? And I'm like, what are you? You're both wrong. You've not been together for 3 months. You're both wrong.
Melody. Not everybody is a Melody.
I just...
Okay, so Eloise and Colin. So the very first book, I'm like 80% sure her name is Eloise. So, and it's not 2020 yet. Okay, everybody? So just cool your jets.
Yeah.
I don't need to know main characters' names for another 3 months. Okay.
Also, this is not a main character.
Arguably. So in the first book, the Pink Carnation book, she's a grad student. She's obsessed with figuring out who this spy was called the Pink Carnation. There's 2 other spies that are also color words that I think were real
Black
times.
Tulip and something
That's
else.
not one of them, but there are some real spies out there that in real life existed. And then she wants to find Pink Carnation, which is fabricated one. Oh man. Intellectualism is not quite yet. So she goes to this mansion in England.
Hall.
Selwick, yeah. And Colin, her now boyfriend, turned her down hard and was like, you're not coming here. You're not digging into my family history to find the Pink Carnation. You're not going to go through the papers. And then his aunt or something, an old lady's like, sure you can. And I like you and you can go through all the papers. And here's who the Pink Carnation was and all that stuff. So she ends up staying at Selwick Hall and researching this thing for a long time. And it's a very enemies to lovers sort of romance between her and Colin while simultaneously you're learning about. So each book is another spy in this spy ring.
Yes.
Beginning with the Pink Carnation, and many of them are women, and it's very cool.
It is very cool, yeah. So in the first book, is it more of them? Because in this one, it's literally 3 chapters.
Yes, it's a lot more of them.
Okay,
and I think if you had read the first 10, you would be a lot more invested in Colin being kind of aloof and avoiding her, and the thing he's distant during these 3 chapters where we get him.
And can I just say that Lauren Willig is so talented that even though I did not know these people, even though I did not watch them fall in love, even though none of that happened, I was still really, really tense during the chapter where it was is he breaking up with her? What's happening? What's happening? I was like, how is this romance? He's breaking up with her. Oh no. So the suspense still got me hard.
I think you'd care a lot more. And also she didn't identify Colin as a sexy man very well in this book because we already have him identified as a sexy man from the last 10 books. But just so you know, very sexy man.
Oh no, I think elbow patches are highly sexy.
Yeah.
Let's not.
All right. Okay.
I wasn't saying that in a denigrating way. I was simply saying there are elbow patches involved. That's the kind of guy Colin is.
Well, I just wanted you to know.
Oh, yes.
Sexy. Very sexy.
I imagined he was, But that basically doesn't matter in this book.
Right.
So who matters in this book are Sally and Lucian.
Yes.
And both of them are hot and awesome. In fact, in chapter 1, Sally is she's at a ball or something, and she's thinking to herself, man, I am so pretty and I am so smart, and my dowry is the size of the moon, and I just have all these things going for me. And I was into it. I was like, Sally, yes, know your worth. That's right. Unce.
I want to go on record as loving Sally. I read a lot of Goodreads reviews that were we got sick of Sally and her I'm so gradedness and
she is
greatness and I'm awesome. Yeah. I loved it. I loved how she's always thinking God, what the thing I just said was so fucking witty and
yes.
She goes into her first season being I am the catch of London. These guys are not going to know what hit them. I love that. And then by the second season, she's I was the catch of London. And these people didn't know what hit them. And now I'm bored with it because it's not even a challenge to be so great, which
everybody's
I am.
So fucking boring. Jesus. Why can't anybody entertain me with some witty repartee? Because nobody's at my level. Unce. Amazing. Love Sally.
But can we at least touch on that the prologue is Eloise?
Oh, God. Oh,
no, I just want to, because it is kind of cool to know how this stuff turned out in the future. That Eloise is talking to a friend who's researching vampires in the early England times hundreds.
Yes.
And how there was this book that was written that was about vampires that made a big splash in London. And then all of a sudden there was a vampire craze where everybody was talking about vampires and thought they were real. And then there was this Duke of Belliston who everybody thought was a vampire, and they call him the Ghoul of Belliston.
Ooh.
And so Eloise's friend is researching that, and then Eloise is kind of interested in it too, maybe for her dissertation.
And then she realizes that the author of the book that ignited all of this vampire craze is attached to the pink carnation Hujima-Whatsits.
Right.
So, yeah. So that's happening. They're thinking about creepy, ghouly vampire times, and it's exciting. But now we are at a ball in England time.
Yes.
1806, bitches. Listen, so Sally is thinking I'm so cool, but she also had 2 friends that she left at home.
Mm-hmm.
Or she was like a year ahead of her friend group at school.
Mm-hmm.
And so those 2 of her pals, Agnes and Lizzie, have now joined the ton as debutantes.
But this whole year that she's been gone, they've been hanging out without her.
Yeah,
and
been,
I really identified with that.
Stuff.
Yeah. So they show up and they're in their own like little clique, and Sally's like, the fuck? Like they have all their like own little inside jokes and shit.
Yeah,
and they're
tough.
really excited about the whole like going to balls and having their first season thing, and Sally's kind of already over it. And so now they're in like different places in their lives, which like really sucks for Sally.
I know, it really does, especially since she was the leader of the group back.
Yeah, she was the queen
school.
bee.
Yeah, and now things have changed.
And now they don't need her.
They don't need her anymore, Erin. My worst nightmare.
Yes, I mean, it really is. It's like all your friends have been hanging out without you, and now they don't. Oof.
Yeah. So they're now talking about this vampire duke, and his garden happens to be right across the way from the garden of the ball that they're currently in. And so they basically triple dog dare her to go into this garden. And
but
Lizzie's, oh yeah.
You have to talk. Listen, it is creepier than Melody. It is. Ooh, this is our Halloween episode, bitch. Like, commit. This is a big spooky house. There's a lot of dead plants over there, and like it's very big and dark. And there isn't a staff, but there is a man.
I hadn't gotten to her going over to the garden.
Talking about it, they like look over there and they get like creeped out by how like big and dark the house is. You know?
And there are a couple of lights on, but not very
There's a light
many.
on, so he is awake, but he's not at the ball.
And it's very overgrown.
Yeah.
Because nobody dares go near the house or something.
Yeah. All right, okay. We've set the tone. There's fog. There's a fog.
It's
you guys,
London.
this book, although the other 11 books in this series seem to be set in England times, this book is squarely in Sherlock Holmes times.
No, it is not.
It is.
Take that back.
I'm sorry. What were our qualifications for Sherlock Holmes times? Fog, intrigue, tiny hats, botany. This shit is full of botany.
Oh my God. I thought running water. I thought
it's not a time period, Melody. It's a
Sherlock
time
Holmes
period. It's not about
been alive.
Time periods. It's about time periods. God,
you're so right. There is so much fucking botany in this thing.
Monsters.
There's no steam powered trains
of plants.
So
this thing is so botany heavy. It's like secret societies and shit. It's all over the place.
Totally.
Yeah.
I know. All right. So apparently this is in Sherlock Holmes time.
Yes.
I wouldn't have pegged it like that, but cool. We're here. We're
here
to win it.
Yes.
I got my tiny spectacles on. So let's get ready. Okay. So they triple dog dare her, and she's like, I don't ever sit down at a challenge. And so she starts walking through the garden toward the other garden, and the gravel is crunching under her feet, and she can hear it reverberating off of the plants, and it's spooky ooky to make Erin happy.
There you go. Yeah.
And so she goes through these little cypress trees, I think they're called.
Yeah.
And there's other like overgrownness. And so she's wishing she had a machete with her.
She's also wearing a white dress.
She's wearing a white dress, and she's thinking to herself, this is not super covert. Yeah. I could be seen by anybody. And so she pulls back some branches, and she creeps and creeps and creeps. And then, whoa, there's somebody there.
Yes.
With a torch. Somebody's holding a torch.
There was a torch?
Listen, maybe
there
not.
Was
Probably
maybe
not.
A torch. May I read?
Yeah.
Who is it? She demanded. Oh, maybe I should go further up. For a moment, she had only a confused image of a dark form silhouetted against the fronds of a weeping willow. Childhood memories of ghost stories surged through her mind, the horrible tales Nanny used to tell her of faceless ghosts and headless horsemen and phantom monks in their transparent habits. Who is it? She demanded, her voice high. Sorry, you're nay. But not with fear. It was shortness of breath, that was all. Show yourself. A man swept aside the fronds of the weeping willow tree. Show myself. The man's voice was well-bred and distinctly incredulous. I should ask the same of you. For a moment, Sally froze, wildly recalling all the tales Agnes had recounted. The man's face was marble pale against the dark leaves, his features chiseled as if from stone, beautiful and stern. The only sign of color was a single splotch of blood that marred the snowy whiteness of his cravat. The thing that's like sticks out on their neck that's not a tie.
Yes.
Ooh.
That's the one.
And then the next sentence is, no, it wasn't blood. It was a different thing. It's like,
it was a jewel.
Lauren.
It was a jewel.
Yeah.
Lauren. Okay. Oh, so then she asks him why he's talking to her without a proper introduction.
Yeah. And he's like, you're sneaking into my garden. He's like, what are you doing in my garden? She's like, what are you doing in your garden? I love how Sally is like, she has no shame. She has no, like.
She go flip it and reverse
she
it
like
on
demands to know what he's doing here.
That's
when
right.
She's trespassing into his property.
Yeah. And so he's like, I would say that trespassing is a pretty good introduction.
Yeah.
And then she goes, I am not trespassing, Sally said haughtily. I was simply admiring your foliage. The Duke of Bellicin arched one brow, as they do, those dukes.
This Duke is a sexy Duke.
Oh, man. Has anyone warned you that strange plants might have thorns? If she had wanted a lesson in horticulture, she would have consulted a gardener. Has anyone ever told you that it is exceedingly annoying to speak in aphorisms? For a moment, a flicker of something that might have been amusement showed in his dark eyes. Amusement, or merely the reflected light of the candle. Candle!
Candle! Yeah, a torch would be real weird.
Listen, whatever, you guys. It was a flame! Yes, he said. It tends to truncate conversation quite effectively. Sally wasn't accustomed to allowing herself to be truncated. Whoa,
I love Sally so much. May I read you a description of the Duke, and then we'll be done reading, I promise, for now?
I would like that.
It's a voice description. You know how I love a voice.
Oh.
His voice whirled around her like the slow swirl of a dark potion, conjuring up images of strange rites and midnight gardens, of night-blooming flowers and witches dancing under a full moon. There was a foreign flavor to it, a strange tang that blurred the edges of his accent, as exotic as a flower from distant shores. And that is his New Orleans accent.
That's right.
Ooh, spooky voodoo.
Ooh, spooky voodoo's up in his proper voice.
Yes.
So then they chat, and then Erin, did you notice when she gets like all up in his grill?
Yeah.
She like takes a step right up in his face.
Yes. And that's when she has the narration where she's like, there's nothing incorporeal about this Duke. He has a body for sure. And I can feel the warmth of it. And he's got calluses on his hands and like eyeballs.
Oh,
God.
yeah?
Yep. People just banging down the door to read my book.
I am banging down the door to read your book, you dick.
Well, it's very like he's a man. This is not a ghost.
Man.
He's making her feel things.
That's right.
So he offers to walk her back to the party, and she's like, I made it this far without an escort. And then it kind of descends into like he wants to protect her against any ghosts and ghouls that might go bump in the night. But then he reveals that maybe he's the one that she should need protecting from, and like kind of hints out that he's a creature of the night, which is very sexy.
Oh, yeah.
And then he says that he has an appointment at midnight, which is also very creepy. And then she goes home.
And she's like, an appointment at midnight? And he's like, how else could creatures of the night get to places and do things?
Yeah, because remember when Bill Compton had to hire those contractors and he couldn't do it, and he had to have Sookie do it for him? Yeah.
He
Poor guy.
managed to get to Bergner's or wherever he went.
Dillard's.
Dillard's.
I got it at Dillard's.
Mm-hmm.
So she fucks off back to the ball, and
and she's a little upset because she didn't get the last word, and Sally likes her some last word. But,
Love Sally.
instead she leaves, and it's very cute. But then we get back into Lucian's point of view.
Yeah.
And Lucian's like, oh, that really cute lady who's just here. Jeez.
How weird was that? And then he's looking at the dead, overgrown gardens of his house, and he's remembering his mother that used to tend to the gardens.
And about how the boys at school used to call him the witch woman's brat.
Yes.
Ugh.
So he's been away since he was 15 years old, we find out.
Yeah.
And that his mother was much younger than his father, which was a big point of gossip amongst the rich people, which is weird because that seemed to happen a lot, but whatever.
No, it wasn't that she was young. It was that she was from Martinique.
Really? Okay. I thought it was because she was young.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, nobody cares
called
about that.
her
She could have been
old
15 and everybody would have
plaything
been.
or something like that.
Well, she wouldn't have been a plaything if she was a 24-year-old debutante. But she was a plaything because she's not supposed to be a person who can marry a duke.
Gross.
Yeah, super gross. Yeah.
And she was a botanist or something.
A horticulturist.
A horticulturist, yes. Botany all over the place.
Yeah.
And we learn that she and her husband died before he left town.
Really
and
tragically.
Then, you guys, ironic AF, he gets back to the house and his butler, Jameson, is
says that there's people there.
You have an appointment. And he's like, I just made that up. That's crazy. That's crazy. This shit is crazy. I just said that out in the garden. And now I have an appointment. And so 3-4 people walk in. His aunt, who sucks, who he basically left to get away from.
She's the worst.
His uncle, who is okay. And then his cousins, Hal and the other one. And they are pissed.
And
did you say
his sister?
Oh, I thought she was his cousin. Is that his sister?
So the boy is his cousin. The girl is his sister.
Yep. The girl's his sister. Sorry.
And my note is big mad they didn't know he come home.
Yeah, and big mad he left without saying a word to his sister. Because later he gets big mad at some other people for leaving him without saying anything, but refuses to
Mm-hmm.
She's really mad that her big brother just took off for America right after their parents died and left her all alone with shitty aunt.
You know what? It's even worse than that. She's not even mad about it. She's just like, why are you even here?
Yeah, why did you
abandoned
come back?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck are you doing here? And I don't blame her.
No.
At all.
I don't either.
Marie Claire, or Clarissa, as that's the other thing. She was called Marie Claire by her mom and dad, and they've changed her name. They've anglicized it to Clarissa.
Yeah.
Just because her aunt is the worst.
Yeah. Man, I just thought she grew up and wanted to be called a different name, and then he hadn't known her in so long that he didn't even you know when kids are called one thing when they're little and then they grow up and they're like, I prefer to go by this. That's what I thought it was. Now I know it's even super grosser. Ugh.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, it's never said explicitly, but it's very much the undertone is the aunt hates him, her, the entire branch of the family. She hated his mother. In fact, part of it says that he remembered his parents talking about the aunt, and his mom looked at his dad and she said, she's really mad that I'm your duchess. And he looked at her and said, no. She's really mad that she's not my duchess.
Right.
Because she just wanted the title so badly. She didn't give a care about him at all. Right. She just wanted to be a duchess. Anyway, she's married to the younger brother and it's a whole thing. So the uncle is the only person there who's really nice because the sister is really frosty. The cousin feels really betrayed because they were really sweet friends when they were younger.
Mm-hmm.
The aunt is openly hostile, being like, you should have come and presented yourself to us. Your sister's having her coming out ball in 2 days, and it should be at Belliston. And he's just like, oh, fuck, all this is happening.
Yeah, but it's not going to be at Belliston. And the sister
Uncle
keeps
Hal's
saying over and over,
ridiculous.
I have no desire to have a ball here.
Right.
I do not want to come back here and have a ball.
Yeah.
So they're doing it at some other house.
They're doing it at their house. Yeah.
Yeah.
The house that the aunt bought, because she's not gentry. She's new money, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Her family was in trade.
Trade.
So,
Trade.
So
am I trying too hard? I can't tell. Spooky.
Never, Erin,
New
never.
money.
So as they leave, the cousin is like, cousin Hal, I think his name is.
Yeah.
He's like, nobody even wants you here. Door slam.
Yeah.
And so he's like, you know what? I don't even want to be here, but I am back to bring my parents' murderer to justice.
Somebody murdered his parents, you guys.
Yeah, that's when we find out somebody murdered his parents dead.
And everyone thinks that his mother killed his father and then killed herself. And
we
that's what
don't know that yet, Erin.
I thought
But
that
yes.
but that is true melody. That everybody thinks that. And that's what the magistrate found. So now
the stupid lazy magistrate.
Yeah,
Sir
lazy
Matthew,
magistrate.
Get
Not
off
a
your
very good
behind.
investigator.
No.
So then
Oh, wait. And my
Yeah.
note at the end of this chapter is in all caps, I love a misunderstood hero.
I know he's such a brooder and he's such a ghoul and like
and he's such a justice
sexy monster.
Oh, and a monster, but a justice, you know?
Like a justice
yeah.
monster. Like
That's the
this is
one.
a guy that like could definitely do a murder and I would be super cool with it.
I know, and yet he's so noble he never will, though, you know?
Yeah. Like there's a lot of like murders in this book that he's like framed for doing murder, but like I kind of wish he did that murder a little
I know. Bring your
Ugh.
claws out, Duke of Belliston. You
But
know
like
what
I
I'm
also
saying?
wish he was like forced to do a murder. What is wrong with me?
If only somebody was like forcing him to do a murder.
If you are a counselor, DM me because it is a weird thing I found out.
That's right. Okay, so chapter 3. Oh boy. Lady Clarissa's ball. So Sally is hearing all these more stupid rumors. She's like at a mirror in the ladies' refreshing room or whatever.
Yeah.
And she's like doing up a hem or something. And everybody's like, ooh, the Duke of Belliston is supposed to be here. And he's a vampire. Oh, noes. And she's like, ugh, everybody's so dumb. And
they're saying that
she
he has a
accidentally
jagged, a scar across his face and that his eyes glow red when he's about to feed on you.
Yeah. And then Sally accidentally starts a rumor about how the house is an ancient druid burial ground.
Yep.
Oh, but then, Erin, we got to find the passage where she starts thinking about how much he is.
I got it.
Okay. Yeah.
Somebody says something about him setting his mark upon them and that he has a curse and he's from a cursed family.
Yeah.
Somebody says, I wouldn't have him if he were the last duke in London.
Mm-hmm.
And Sally whispers under her breath, what makes her think that he'd have her? And then she starts thinking mean girl things about that girl, which is like mean, but like I just love Sally. What a bitch she is. And so Lizzie says, with a hideous scar across his face and a hunchback and a club foot, not to mention the curse, I imagine he can't be picky. And Sally says, he's not hunchbacked. In fact, he's quite... And she thinks to herself, handsome? He wasn't handsome in the way that society assessed such things. His hair was too long. His eyes were too deep. His lips too full. His features too marked. All of him was just too... He was like the embers on the hearth burning from within. Infuriating, intriguing, quite... Lizzie's ears perked up. Presentable, said Sally quellingly. Quite presentable.
So good.
This is so well written. It just simmers so well.
It really does. And then Lizzie says, what's he like then? She asked. Mysterious. Terribly mysterious. The word rose unbidden to Sally's mind, along with the memory of a wilderness of a garden, willows weeping above a frost-blasted fountain, and a black-garbed figure in its midst. He had been other things, enigmatic, infuriating, more than a little bit sardonic, but the primary word that came to mind was mysterious. He looked as though he had grown out of the fallen leaves and moss-covered stones, like a creature of shadow and moonlight, condemned to lonely durance in his haunted castle. Durance?
Mel didn't know what that word meant. She did such a frown.
Oh, fuck. Well,
so then they're outside the powder room. They're talking about, I guess, when it's somebody's first coming out ball, they've got to do a dance for everybody with like a person who is their family person.
Yeah, they dance with family-ness.
So they all think she's going to dance with Hal, the cousin, because the Duke of Belliston has been gone for so long. And then he comes out. And while they're dancing around, women are like fucking swooning. They're doing their vapors. Yeah. They've got their vinegars. They're turning around because they don't know what to do. It's all very sexy, if that's your monster boyfriend.
That's right.
He's terrorizing the shit out of the whole room.
Wait, real quick. I just want to note for the record, I looked up the word durance, and it means imprisonment or confinement. So, adding that to my repertoire. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, so he's like trying to, and he's trying to talk to his sister.
Right.
So he's like trying to get into her brain a little bit. And, also, I'm sorry. My note is Sally calls her brother Turnip. And my note is,
bing, boom, bong.
What the fuck? What the fuck, Turnip? No.
Bing, boom, bong. Bird click. I am unimpressed by how your brother is called Turnip.
Same.
It's all over the place. It's like, it's his name. It's like my friend Wit, who went all around being like, my name is Wit. It's not weird. It's not whiff. It's not worm. But my name really is John. So if you so if you email me, it is John.
So the first third of this book, she just refers to her brother Turnip like it's nothing.
She says it is his name at some point. It's not even. Listen, I know this was probably a funny thing in book 5 or whatever.
Hardy har har. I don't give a shit. It is not funny
to me now. It is not charming that this guy's name is Turnip. It's like those people that like one weird thing and think that is like that quirk is like a fun personality.
Yeah.
It is not a fun personality that your brother's name is Turnip. Shut up about it, Sally. And shut up about it, Turnip.
Yeah, Turnip.
And don't name your kid Parsnip. That's stupid. I don't like it.
Yeah. Then they come out that their kid is named Parsnip.
Bing, boom, bong. No.
And I'm like, bing, boom, bong, get out of here.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
Man. So, I mean, I do kind of want to read their book, though, because I've never read a book in which the hero was a dumb in this way.
Or a goofy.
Or a
in
goofy.
This way.
Yeah. So I would, because he's very much, anytime he talks, he's like that. Man, there's this 2006 version of Sense and Sensibility in which the guy that has them live at the cottage on his estate, he's the dumbest, goofiest, sweetest hearted. But anytime he talks, he's like, oh, this is what? Mm-hmm. And ends every sentence in what? And that is Turnip to a T.
Yeah.
Okay,
I am not about, this is not a mood. I do not like it.
It's not. I wasn't into it.
It's also important to note that while they're dancing, Duke of Belliston was trying to lean into this ghoulish thing when he was talking to her in the garden the night before.
Yeah.
He kind of finds it funny that there's all these vampire rumors about him and that he was locked in a crypt for 15 years and all this stuff. But now as he's dancing and he's seeing women literally swoon and making crosses on themselves and shit while he's dancing, he realizes this isn't fun.
No, this is serious business.
A real thing that people actually believe, and it's not okay, and I'm pretty embarrassed now. And then there's only one person that looks him in the eye, and it's Sally, the girl who invaded his garden 2 nights
from
before.
The garden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he asks his sister
hey, Clarissa,
who she is.
Who dat?
And Clarissa's like, I don't fucking know. I'm not from here.
I just got here, okay?
God damn it.
I'm just trying to live my fucking life. I'm trying to come out in London, and you're fucking it up with your ghoulishness. Ooh. So, as he's talking to Clarissa, he's like, oh, I should have taken you with him. And we find out more about his travels. He first left England at 15 and went to Martinique, thinking he could find his mother's people, but then he found out everybody had left. And so then he went to New Orleans because that's where he found out his mother's sister went. And they like embraced him as loving family, and they were warm and inviting and wonderful. And then he asks Clarissa if she remembers their parents at all, and then tells her that he's back to find out who killed them. And the chapter ends, you guys, with Clarissa deadpanning him with this society smile on her face, saying, "Our mother killed our father and then killed herself." And my note is, holy smokes!
So then we go back to Sally.
No, then it's still him, and he's like, "It's been a while."
This is where he talks to Henry.
Yeah, he's like, "Holy shit, nobody said that to my face in a really long time," and he's like totally heartbroken that his sister believes his mom killed his dad, but he also understands because she was so young. She doesn't have the same memories that he does. Oh, meanwhile, this whole conversation, I don't know if you guys remember, is happening while they're doing a quadrille or whatever.
Yeah. And so sometimes they have to like go away and do a little spinny spin, and then they have to come back and they do a Pride and Prejudice, you know?
Yeah, they're like curtsying at randos.
That was
the
the
whole
music.
thing.
Yeah.
So then she just keeps on being like uber polite to him, and it's gutting. The dance ends finally. Somebody else grabs her. And so he goes and searches out his uncle.
Yes.
And then we have a chat over some claret in a study with an uncle.
Yes.
And the uncle is like super kindly. We find out that his dad used to call his uncle his lapdog or something like that because he was like very dutiful. He always takes care of the estate and everything in it, but he like doesn't have any ambition, and he's like he couldn't hurt a fly or something like that is what the dad said. So what's his noggin? Lucian, the vampire,
Halloween book.
Finds out that the uncle believes that his mom used to be a spy for the French right before they were doing things. Because, you guys, the English were doing some colonizing.
It had to do with Martinique and, like, slavery, and she was, like, very passionate against the slavery situation.
As one might be.
Thank you.
Yeah. Everybody was like, and the uncle, dirtbag that he is like, well, then of course we were going to back the colonizers who were in danger of being overtaken by the slaves. So we were going to send troops to the Hootie Whatsits. And apparently, Uncle Hal is like, your mom was then helping out the French with information so that the French could, I think, maybe support the slaves in the interim until they also did their own colonizing, as the French also did. So
the important thing here is she's spy times. She's all spies, is the mom. She's maybe stealing information from the dad, his dad.
Well, she'd have to. That's the only place she would be able to get it from.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then also, the uncle believes that it's probably her contact that murdered them. And he thinks that maybe Lucian's tutor at the time was her contact.
Sherry, his name is.
Sherry. Yeah.
Another Sherry.
Yeah.
And so, so then he thinks that the handler killed both the mom and the dad because he got all the information he needed and he didn't want the mom to out his identity once everything happened.
Right. There were also rumors going around that the mom and the tutor were having an affair.
Banging it out. Yeah. Man, you're so classy.
Yeah.
So, and Lucian is like gobsmacked by all of this. He's like, what? Too much information cannot compute.
Well, the thing that gobsmacks him the most seems to be that his mom would be like stealing information from his dad with maybe
that she would betray his dad.
Yeah, without his knowledge.
They were so in love.
Yeah.
And they had so much fun. And they were always like laughing and joking and just being really effusive about their love.
I kind of love that that's the thing that gobsmacks him. It's not like my mom was a spy and so was my tutor.
Like betraying England or whatever. Yeah.
It's like he cannot believe that they would have secrets from each other and betray each other because they were so in love.
So then we go back to the ballroom and Sally is feeling listless. And Sally is feeling lonely, and she's also dancing with a guy who won't stop talking about stoats.
Love it.
Love it. Love everything about it.
He is training weasels like you wouldn't believe. He is offering her a weasel. He is talking about how you can dress up those weasels.
And you can keep them on your shoulder, and they're very well behaved. And he's like, and she is really distracted because she keeps looking over his shoulder trying to find the Duke. And then she'll keep coming back to the conversation and sort of agreeing with what he says without really listening.
She's very good about talking about weasels.
What?
I found her to be really good at talking about weasels with this guy, even though she wasn't even paying attention. Like, she's really socially good at stuff.
Yeah. And so, anyway, it's wonderful. I did have to look up what a stoat was, but once I did, it's one of the cutest things that's ever hit planet Earth. It looks a lot like a ferret, except it almost looks more fuzzy, if that's possible.
Yes.
Did I tell you about my ferret, Trevor?
I was just going to say, I know all about stoats because I read all 20 Redwall books as a kid, or 25 or 19 or how many there were. But no, I would much rather hear about your ferret named Trevor. Let's do it. Let's just make this a two-parter. Settle in.
My ferret. Oh, my beautiful ferret, Trevor. He was so wonderful, and he was so snurgly, and we had to put a bell on him so that we could know where he was in the house, because otherwise he would just like hoppity hippity hop along on the floor, and we wouldn't know where he was.
When did you have the ferret? Please measure it in years. I cannot bear if you say that 130 months ago you had the ferret.
I was probably, I want to say 11 to 13 or something like that.
11 to 13 . So how did you kill this ferret?
No, he was an adopted ferret.
This ferret didn't last long, apparently.
Although, do you want to know what the number one killer of ferrets is?
What? What?
Recliners.
Oh, no.
Isn't that horrible? The spooky, and then the ferret haunts you because Halloween episode. Yeah, people will close them right up in the recliners, and then they die.
God. Can I tell you about Beauregard the dog?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I had a plant named Beauregard.
David and I spotted a little fluffy white dog trying to get on the highway. And so we pulled over. Yeah. So we pulled over. We chased this dog off the highway. It was at nighttime.
Good.
And then the dog went into the forest. And so then we drove, and then the dog came out of the forest, and we pulled over, we got out of the car, but then the dog ran away from us. We're like, fuck. Oh. So then we got on this app that's like the local app called Nextdoor. Do you have Nextdoor?
I've heard of it. I don't have it.
It's like you have it in the neighborhood, and everybody talks about neighborhood stuff. It's mostly gossip and people being like borderline, like definitely racist. So I try not to check it very much. I got in a lot of fights on what we call neighbor time. It's not called neighbor time. It's called Nextdoor, but I call it neighbor time. Anyway, the point is I found this dog on Nextdoor, and somebody had posted lost dog. His name is Beauregard. And so I told the lady I saw Beauregard, and then we went out and looked for him. And then she's like got all these signs up, and it's getting so cold. And she says that she's sleeping in her clothes every night in case anyone calls so that she can go at a moment's notice. And she's like an older lady, and she misses Beauregard so much. And it's like keeping me up at night. The Beauregard is out there. But then last night, he was seen, and they put out a live trap for him. So hopefully he gets trapped in the live trap tonight.
Oh my God, Beauregard, if you can hear us, stop running away from people. Go home.
I am not joking when I tell you that I've cried actual tears about Beauregard when it's been raining.
Oh no.
Guys, if you see Beauregard, help him get home. Yeah. Anyway, you can cut that, but I just wanted to tell you, Melody, that this has really been weighing on me all week. It's so cold out there.
Oh no.
Beauregard.
Yeah, but Trevor the Ferret was wonderful.
Yep, ferret.
And
anyway,
he was like a little slinky. I swear, his back was so malleable.
That's what ferrets
and he would
are.
He would just get on his back and look up at me, and then he'd wiggle a little bit, and his bell would jingle. with the wiggle. God, he was so great.
I'm sorry. Like, I'm happy that you loved a ferret, but it is just a weasel to me. And I don't... Oof.
But like, this is what I thought every time she was like, my stoat peeked out from over my shoulder. I'm just like, oh, Trevor!
So are you saying that were you dancing with this guy, you would have been like, I'm all in.
Stoats?
Neat. What Sally
absolutely.
does is she steps on her own dress so that she can rip
to
her
get away
own
from
hem
him.
so that she can say, oh dear, I must go mend my dress in the bathroom. And she does go to the bathroom so that he can see her go in there.
The bathroom. Yeah. But she didn't actually rip her hem, so she doesn't really need to.
Right.
But
and then she
on
turns.
the way there, the Duke comes back. And her eyes immediately train over there because she's magnetized to his magnanimous, manly mustache. Nope.
No, he does not have a mustache. Don't tell him he has a mustache.
Go for more M words, and that's the only thing I could think of. Muscles. That would have been better.
So when she comes upon him,
she decides that she needs a project because she's feeling lonely and listless, and she decides it's going to be him.
Yes. So she comes upon him. He's not looking great. He's very pale because he's just found out about how his mom was a spy and betrayed his father and like all this stuff.
It looks like somebody just drained all of his blood out of his body. Ooh.
Yes. Ooh. And she's like, what's your deal? You look bad. Do you need my vinaigrette to sniff so that you don't faint? And he's like, no, I don't need a vinaigrette.
Like, is it balsamic? Because that's the only kind of vinaigrette I like. Salad jokes.
Salad jokes. We've got them.
Oh yeah.
Salad jokes. Stupid. But she keeps being like, "Are you going to swoon?" And he keeps being like, "I am not going to swoon." It's very cute.
It is really cute.
And then somebody bumps into him. And he like wavers, and she's like, "Oh my god, you're totally going to swoon.
You're swooning right now.
I'll get my vinaigrette.
I gotta get my balsamic out."
Hashtag salad jokes. And he's like, "No, I'm not swooning. Somebody just bumped into me." And then
she looks down on the ground.
There's a note,
and in a heavy black inked hand, it says Belliston on a piece of paper on the ground.
Yeah,
and so then he picks it up.
Meet me on the balcony. I have information that you might want to know. I will meet you on the balcony at midnight. Yeah. And she's like looking over her shoulder and saying, a balcony at midnight? How trite. People really have no imagination.
True.
Like, she's already ingested the information and is over it and like considers herself better than it. And I love Sally.
I love Sally. So then she's like, I'm definitely going to go with you because it seems to me that somebody could be trying to trap you in a marriage. Yes. And so I will go with you so that you have a witness as to your honor or whatever. And he's thinking to himself, I know that there's something wrong with this sentiment because she will also be alone with me on the balcony, but like I can't quite put my finger.
He was so discombobulated by what was going on with his mom. He's just like, fine. But she's like, I know that
she's talking a mile a minute.
Yeah.
She's like already walking ahead of him to the balcony, grabbing her shawl or whatever. And she's like, oh, we've got a mission now.
She's like, I'm good. My chaperone is right there. I'll be in view of the window. It's going to be fine. So you guys,
oh my God,
they go out on this balcony.
Yeah.
And they see somebody sitting on a bench off in the distance. And so she hangs back so that she can be in view of her chaperone.
And it is a lady.
Yeah, it's a lady.
And so she doesn't want to press her luck. She doesn't want to get into, somebody's private business, Sally. So she hangs back.
And you guys, this lady is a murder lady.
Is a corpse. Yeah, she didn't murder anybody, poor thing.
No, yeah, she is a murder victim.
Don't you cast aspersions on her? Yeah,
and she is laying on the marble bench, and she's
it is
like
a dramatic
posed, and she's got daisies, and she's got vampire marks on her neck from fangs,
right on her necks.
She's got blood. She's got his father's snuff box with his coat of arms on it. And she's got a black wig on to make her look like his mom. Yeah. And wasn't there something else? I don't remember, but
it was a white dress that looked really dramatic with all the blood on it.
It is a pose.
Blood everywhere.
It is a murder. It is pretty clear that she didn't die from a vampire, but it's pretty clear that they did, whoever wanted it to look like she died of a vampire, and that they're trying to set him up.
Yeah, she's also got a lot of harlot makeup on her. They talk about how much rouge she's got on.
Yeah,
and
it was a little
lips and stuff. It
was a little rough how they talked about how slutty she looked there.
That's
dead on
the one. Yeah, it wasn't about it. But so meanwhile, the Duke has not put any of this together. It is Sally who has the presence of mind to put all this together. The only thing the Duke of Belliston contributes is that she definitely wasn't killed there because there's no blood on the ground. And then one of them realizes that the vampire marks are not made of blood. They're made of the same lip rouge that she's currently wearing on her lips.
Which, I mean, bing, boom, bong.
Yeah,
bird chirp,
yeah.
Bird click.
Yeah, bird click.
If you're going to stage a murder
you
to look
gotta
like
commit.
A vampire,
Yeah.
commit. Put a real hole in the person's neck. I mean, it can
Preferably
be post-mortem. That's fine.
Sure.
But, like, Jesus Christ. No one's gonna fucking believe, like, if you put some lipstick there. Are you kidding me?
Put your crayons down. You know what I'm saying?
Poke a real hole. You're a murderer, okay?
Yeah.
You're already at the level you're gonna murder a person.
You've already
Stick
done it.
a hole in their neck.
Preferably two.
Jesus. God.
You know?
It's like the commitment level is way too low here. You got his dad's snuff
It's like
box.
sad.
You got symbolic daisies. You got a fucking black wig. You can't take a thumbtack and throw a hole in her neck? Honestly.
Or two, preferably.
Two.
Yeah.
About an inch and a half apart. To look like a vampire.
Yeah. Jesus.
Come on.
Honestly.
Murder? Come on, murderer.
It's like you're not even trying.
Are you sexy? Just asking for me.
Did someone force you, though?
Here's the thing. Whoever this murder man is, I'm not attracted to him because I have a competence flaccid. I have a competence flaccid at this murder.
It's all flaccid in your competence. I know.
Yeah.
I know. All right.
Anyways,
well,
it's
so
kind of...
Sally's like, they're obviously trying... Go ahead.
It's a little hashtag romance because she does swoon a little bit and he like puts his arm around her. And there's a little bit of romance stuff, which is kind of nice, yeah.
But she can feel the heat through his gloves and stuff.
Yeah. And it's a little romance too because she saves him. Is that what you were about to talk about?
I was about to talk about that. Okay. Yeah, she's like, this is obviously a frame job for you, the only vampire in England town, London times. And so you need to get the fuck out before I scream my head off and alert everyone that you're here. At first, she tries to get him to go back into the ballroom. And she's like, go find my pal Lizzie. Tell her that I said she has to dance with you. And then we'll be fine. And then I'll raise the alarm and you will never have been here. Mm-hmm. But then somebody's coming out onto the balcony. It looks like it's a Hal with someone else. And so she's like, oh, fuck, you gotta jump over this here fence right here. And he's like, well, I'm getting to hopping is what I'm doing. So
I'm getting to hopping.
And then you guys,
the sexiest thing you could say.
I know. And then he kisses her hand meaningfully before he jumps off their balcony fence.
He also hesitates because he's worried there's a murderer around.
He's like, there's a murderer.
And she's like very brave about it. She's like, they're not here to kill me. This is clearly a symbolic killing of your mother, idiot.
Yeah. Dummy.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then she screams. Everyone is alerted. Cool. Then we go.
She's a little suspicious about the Duke.
Tiny bit.
Just like a little bit. May I read? She could still feel the press of the Duke's lips against her hand. She had been so sure a moment ago that she was doing the right thing. But now, with the woman's pale eyes staring sightlessly up at her, she couldn't repress the slight shiver of unease. Had she just let the killer go free? Now we're back with Eloise and Colin.
All right, fucking Eloise and Colin. Listen. Okay, Eloise and Colin, the only thing that happens in this chapter is that he's like, so, what are your plans after your dissertation? And she's like, probably going to stay here forever in the U.S. And then he gets
at least
real
for a
sad.
couple years.
Yeah. And then he gets real sad. And then she starts thinking to herself, what could be wrong with Colin? I don't. What? I am baffled as to why Colin might be upset
because I finished dissertation.
Is he mad because I live in a studio apartment?
Why might Colin be upset? Is it because getting degree?
Is it because I ordered red wine, not gin and tonic, like I normally do?
Because I stay in Boston for years while he's in England. Surely it's because he wants to break up with me for some reason. Not because we're going to be apart and we love each other. I hate Eloise and Colin.
Eloise is so dumb. Listen.
Is it not Eloise? Listen. This is not #not my romance story.
Right.
They may have been fun in book one.
They're great. They're just not my people. Yes. I just want to be back in 1806 with the steamy steam and all the rest of it.
All right. Okay. Back now. 1803. The mists are swirling. The botany is sprouting everywhere all around them.
Botany is everywhere.
No, actually, we
clipping
should
leaves.
Wrap this. What did you say?
I'm botanying. I'm doing sound effects for botany.
Some leaves.
Yes.
Neat.
Do you want me to dig in the dirt?
We should stop.
Erin. No.
This is going to be a 4-hour podcast. And what better time to wrap it up than the murder?
Oh, fuck. You're right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Then when we come back, you guys, you better get ready for some action-packed nonsense. We're going to solve a murder, bitches. We're going to solve a murder, and we might get some people married. Who the fuck knows?
Who the fuck knows?
You know what I will tell you, though? I am going to tell you this right now. Don't expect any fucking, you guys. Don't expect it. This is a really, really good book, and you're going to be like, I love these characters so much. Why can't I just see their genitals?
And the writing's so witty and so funny and so
But you're never going to see their genitals, though.
We do not know
going to happen.
How big Lucian's dick is. We're never
don't
going to.
I mean, we know.
I mean, he has BDE.
We just have no
but
proof.
We don't know for sure.
Exactly.
We know that he knows how to use it, but we do not know what it looks like. All right.
All right, Erin, hit me with a lady love. I have a couple. So if you, like me, can't really handle the internets right now, but also want to try to stay abreast of what's going on in the world, NPR and WNYC have just come out with a new podcast called Impeachment, a Daily Podcast. And I think his name is Bill. I can't remember exactly what his. Anyway, he does a morning show every weekday on WNYC, and he gets really good guests who break down like what's going on with the impeachment, and it's all like accredited journalists and that sort of thing. So they're pretty cautious about their takes, which I like, because for me, there's nothing worse than reading something and having them be like, this is going to burn the presidency down. And then like reading something else, it's like, it's really not a big deal at all. Like I just need people to be cautious about what they say because I cannot get my hopes up anymore. So I have really been liking Impeachment, a Daily Podcast. And then, of course, the NPR Politics Podcast is my go-to for a lot of things. So
mine is different, but it's the same one I had last year at exactly this time.
Oh, yeah. Tell me.
Ladies of Fall.
Hello,
Pumpkin
fall
sluts.
Ladies. Yes.
We affectionately refer to as pumpkin sluts on
That's right.
the cult. It's okay. It's okay to embrace your pumpkin sluttiness.
That's right.
And how much you love boots and scarves.
You own it.
Pumpkin-flavored things.
Yeah.
And ciders and apple picking. Whatever your autumnal delights are.
You wave your pumpkin slut flag.
And don't you dare make fun of other women who
don't
love
you dare.
their autumnal delights.
That's right.
Be as basic as you want to be. And I want to say this about basic ladies.
Okay.
Because last time I talked about some basic ladies, everybody on the podcast. It's just me.
What did I do, Erin?
and Natalie now.
Every single person on this fucking podcast.
I meant everyone on the Facebook group, particularly Cat C, was like, well, I guess I'm basic. I like this. I like that.
Yeah.
Those are basic things to like. No. Here's the definition of a basic person, okay? Basic people like those things and think that they're the only ones that like those things and think that it makes them special and then it becomes their personality.
They think they're goddamn unicorns about it. Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, have you heard of this thing that's like, oh my God, I love apple picking. Am I right, you guys? And it's like, everybody loves apple picking. But you know what? You have a right to love apple picking.
Yeah.
Don't you dare put down your other friends and ladies.
That's true. And you know what?
Autumnal delights.
I'm gonna piggyback on this a little bit.
Yes.
Just to really boost your signal, if you will. Give you a little signal boost.
Uh-huh.
And that is whether it's autumnal delights or anything else.
Yeah.
Stop fucking yucking people's yums.
Yucking yums. I don't know who we're talking to. It's not our people. Everyone out there is like, yeah, we know. We're the listeners of this podcast.
I'm just saying, just don't yuck people's yums. Just don't do that.
Well, and my message is this. Don't yuck your own yums.
Also that.
You know, if you like the thing that you like, just like the thing.
That's right.
Be loud about it. Like the things you like.
Or don't be loud about it. Sure.
Or
just
whatever.
Just don't feel guilt about it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. Loud in your brain.
That's right.
Be brain loud about it.
You just own it up in your brain.
Love go? Because I felt like it went really good and smoothly, and like my message was really well communicated.
Listen, I mean, like we normally do. This is TM good work, you know?
Yep.
We just succinct, professional,
succinct, and taken seriously.
That's right. So many seriousnesses.
Can we start the episode over? Is it too late to do another take of the episode? Okay.
All right.
Okay. All right. Are we ready?
Yep.
You can find us on Instagram, heaving_bosoms.
Nope, that's false.
That's our Twitter. Instagram, @heavingbosoms. Twitter, heaving_bosoms. Facebook, Heaving Bosoms Podcast.
That's
and
right.
The group, the Heaving Bosoms Geriatric Friendship Cult.
Yep.
What's another one? HeavingBosoms.com for all your HB Reading Embrace merchandise. There's another one on there that's important. Patreon. Patreon.com/
Heaving Bosoms Podcast.
If you want all of our bonus content.
We just came out
with a romance novel
wait,
podcast on Apple Podcasts. I'm on a fucking roll. If you want to give us a 5-star review and help us become more visible to others.
Yes.
And Melody, is your turn?
Well, I just wanted to... I have the floor now. Huzzah! I just wanted to tell them that we recently dropped a Patreon episode in which we read a Ladybug Tingler, but then Erin was forced to read a scene that I rewrote to be extra awful for her.
Have we just dropped that?
Oh, yeah.
Guys, we're about to just record that, so Melody's talking about the future, and I'm glad that she's warned.
Oh, yeah. All
right, that's it, right? That's right.
Things. That's it. All right, keep being a badass. And love yourself as much as you love spooky botany and
Sherlock
Holmes, especially if you also think it's England time.
Tiny hats do kind of creep me out. Sorry, HB Liz, they do. I'm sorry about how much you love wearing them. Liz came at me hard a few weeks ago about the tiny hats, but I'm sorry. They freak me out. I don't like them. All right. I love you.
I love you too. I'll talk to you later.
For the exciting conclusion.
Exciting ones. Bye.
Hey, you. Yes, listener, you. Are you loving the show? If so, please leave a rating and review in your podcast app. The 90 seconds you take to say something nice not only helps new people find the show, but it makes me super smile over at HBHQ. Also, I've had a few people ask, and the answer is yes. We are still doing the 5-star bribe. If you leave us a review with 5 stars, then we'll do whatever book you want. We're real deep into the list, though, so it might be a while. Ah! Lilas! Okay, back to the show.